Well, it's that time again.
Okay, welcome to this video. If you're new to the channel, then a little bit of background. I've built a few bikes over the years. First I rebuilt my Honda Cub, then I did a C200 build, then of course I restored a PC50. I've done quite a few builds over the years. I've done a C50, I've done a custom Cub, I've done the CB250 RS, I've done a Honda C65, I rebuilt my mate's bike who was stolen and thrown in the lake, and then not long ago I just finished off doing a Honda S65 with Terry, aka Moto Shed. Oh, and not forget to my Honda CT. But anyway, doing all these bikes over the years, you end up with a lot of spare parts. And then when I saw a cheap frame going and some other bits, I thought, why not? Let's slap them all together. And can I build a bike out of all the spare parts I have left over?
This is a C90 ZZ, is it a ZZ frame? 1960s frame. I have a set of forks, I have a spare engine, I have exhausts, I have some handlebars, I have some wheels somewhere in here. There we are, wheels. So yeah, I think we can, and I've got a swinging arm somewhere in my spares, and I've got a petrol tank. Using all the spares and some other little bits, and maybe spending out on a couple of bits here and there, I should be able to build a Cub. So the first step, I guess, is to clean up the frame a bit and paint it. A nice layer of primer, Hammerite. I've got paint in there as well. Then I'll do red on the outside, if I've got some red. Do I have some red left? Ooh! I got a bit of sky blue. Red and blue, red and then blue. Yeah, that would work quite nicely. I'm going to build this bike, and it's going to be built with all the spare bits I can do. So I've got half a can of this blue stuff.
So I started off by just simply cleaning everything up, sanding down the wheels, getting rid of all the rust, paint it with rust and with Hammerite before moving on to the frame. The inside of the wheel actually came up all right after a few goes with the sander. Well, for a 1968 frame, it was actually in okay condition. There was a couple of little problems with it here and there, but nothing too major as I thought. Of course, there is a couple of further problems that I found out a bit later on, but we'll come to that when we do. But yeah, it's a 1968 frame. I left it for a couple of days with primer on, wait for another nice warm day, went out there and started going with the sky blue. So yes, red and blue. So this is it after a few layers have done. Of course, at the same time, I was also painting the wheels. So you can see there that I had carusted it and then hammerited the inside. And I was just there just painting the outside with a nice... I had some gold spray paint left over, so I'd use some of this gold paint. It's not actually that good quality gold paint, as I found out much later on, as of much later. It seemed to be quite shiny to begin with. But yeah, it seems to have not as hard wearing as I'd hope. But it was only in my leftover pile, so I'm not really going to complain. I was really happy how the paint looked. It looked really good. Of course, I came back another day and gave it a good few coats of 4K lacquer on top. So the headlight bucket was also, someone had previously painted it blue, didn't like that blue, so I had to slowly scrape all that using a spoon, so I could ready to reprime it again, ready for painting again.
So I think this is the final stage of the lacquer on this, isn't it? Yeah, final stages of lacquer on these. They're done. Frames done. Handlebars, forks. This is the number plate bracket. What I've done is just clean it up a little bit and just hammerite it black. You're not going to see it anyway because the license plate's going on there. Petrol tank's there. But just spread a load of hammerite, so now I can't breathe.
Right, so the first thing I actually had to buy was a headlight and a tail light. And also I managed to buy some engine bolts. So we're approaching one of the first tricky parts of the build.
The engine out to get this in the frame. Job you don't want to mess up. Engine bolts. Holes are too small. Drill bits. Okay, we'll go with a size. What size is this? 9. Okay, we'll go with a 9 first. Yeah, let's clean that out. Okay, so that's one done. Bolt goes in. So engine's drilled out. I think I'm going to put the engine in the frame. I've got the engine here, I've got the foot pegs on. I need the adapter bolts. Oh no, I've lost the adapter
Luckily
bolts.
there are adapter kits available to buy. They're just a bit fiddly and a bit of a pain to fit and not very straightforward.
Okay, so I'm doing a conversion. This is a 6-volt frame. Okay, the 6-volt frame C90 ones. Now they differ. C50, C70, C90, they differ a bit in between. So this is a C90 frame. If you have a C70 frame, I think you can stick an engine in straight away. So the original engine is gone. I bought it just as a frame, essentially. This is a Lifan 110, but they're all the same pit bike engines. They have the exact same mounting positions, and they fit bolt for bolt into a Honda 90 Cub, but the newer one, like anything from like late 80s onwards. This one don't. You can get these adapter brackets. These adapter brackets. So for starters, you need to drill this hole on the actual engine block. You need to drill the hole out. You need to cut the frame down there just a little bit. Okay, so that, I think that's I've done that. Bit of a pain, but it's done. Then flip the frame on its side, or you know, whatever you want to do. I've got it propped up with a bit of wood and stuff, and then you get these two. I'm going to pull the. So you use the original engine bolts, and these things attach down to the foot pegs here, as you see. I'll pull the kit out here for now. So you get these essentially two little things. Now to get these to fit, these are meant to be universal adapters. So depending on what foot pegs you use, depending on all this sort of thing, I've had to chop off the top, just this, the top mill I had to chop off, and I had to bend these just ever so slightly. So this one is pretty much straight, and the other one I've had to bend. Take this off. I've had to bend it quite a bit there, and I've had to bend this a little bit further. So I think it sits a little bit higher, but not a lot, just a little bit. Yeah, these things, and they vary. This is the second bike I've done with conversion. And then yeah, let me assemble it, and I'll show you how it all goes. Okay, so I'm just tightening them up now. Make sure you have these front ones loose for a minute, just so you can get these back ones on first a little bit. Now the only reason I'm having difficulty is because I'm probably using these foot pegs, which if you use the original foot pegs, it might be a bit easier. Here's a closer look. So the mounting kit, you get a small bolt, a long bolt, spacer, small spacer, long spacer, two of these adapter plates that go down there, they go to the bottom, and then this engine is in. So that's how you put a 12-volt engine, a 12-volt pit bike engine in a C90, well, a Cub frame. The only issue I've got now is the wiring loom, but luckily I think the top bolt can come undone quite easily now, so that's all right. So, but yeah, when I feed the wire, I should have fed the wiring loom in first before I did that. Okay, well, never mind then. Oh, it's been a while. It's been a while. So I have got the frame, the forks are on, the engine's in. Today I've got some spare parts from my storage, because I'm building this bike completely out of spare parts. But yeah, I got that. That was originally for the C200, but whatever, it can go on this. Do the wheel bearings on the rear wheel, and the sprocket carrier, replace all the things, and get it all. We might be able to get it to a rolling chassis, but I do want to do the handlebars before I put the wheels on. They do get a bit tricky to move around without handlebars on. Well, that was amazing. Thanks, Terry, for letting me borrow your basher. That was so much quicker. Well, I usually do use the old bearings, but this one would have been a bit of a pain without a proper tool, because the other bearing would have probably got stuck on top. But yeah, I always use the old bearing to bash in the new one. But yeah, that was much easier with a basher. And yeah, I'm going to buy a set of these, because they're really handy as well. Oh well. Right, so the bearings are done. Alright, so we just need to find two new nuts, because these are the wrong ones. Oh, yeah. I think these are the wrong ones. These are 13s. I don't think they should be 13s. I think they should be 12s. So I find two new nuts, and also the thread is really horrible on one of them. So, but yeah, that's quite a nice little setup now. Right then. Let's do the tubes now. Right, tyres on. Who recommended it to me again? One of my subscribers recommended it to me. Yeah, it works alright. I've got loads of it now, so this lasts forever. Okay, let's clean up these bits. There's a swinging arm bolt. Give this a little polish up. These definitely doing. I mean, this came out, so that's really impressive. Normally these seize inside the bike. Let's give this a good old go with the old thing. Take off this layer of rust. A lot of rust came off, but yeah, it looks a lot better. Clean this up a bit as well. Just need to wipe it off a bit, and yeah, then I'll call it a day from there. Right, so just waiting some parts now. 17 at the eye. So special rear shocks for that. Red swinging arm, red frame, red tank, red forks, blue top. Got quite a nice speedometer. So hopefully that works still as well. Look at that, lovely big shocks. Of course, it's gone cold because now we're in the late autumn. So yeah, lovely metal on hands. It's always good. Before I put the shocks on, tidy these up a bit. Someone painted these red then blue. I don't know what they were doing. Why would you paint your bike such awful colours? I've cleaned up the bits as best as I can really be bothered, and they're not really going to be seen. But at a quick glance, I think a bit of brush pet of Hammerite won't go amiss. Just Hammerited the brake lever, the centre stands down there, and these covers are there, so I can't really continue until they're dry because these need to go on first, then I can put the shocks on and do all that. But in the meantime, I've got a cover for this side, but I don't have a cover for this side. So what I've decided I'm going to do is, my printer's not big enough. Wow, just came inside and it's all fogged up, but my printer's not big enough. So I've split it in half. I'm going to print one half on one side, then do the other half, and then glue them together maybe. Well, I'm just printing off, found an STL file online. It might fit. It's not going to cost a lot to print. It's only going to take about 10 hours to print, so yeah, let's leave that at that. Let's try to get to a rolling frame today. Yeah, let's do a rolling frame. Back end's assembled, the shocks are in, these brown shocks. I don't know how I feel about them. I mean, they are the original brown, and we're going with a mixed match of colours on everything, so that's fine. I'm just not sure if I like the brown. I'll keep them for now. I'll see how it looks when it's finished, and then it's an easy part to take off and paint if I want to. So yeah. Right then, let's reassemble that and get this real wheel ready, and then put the wheel on.
So I fitted new Cush drive rubbers. They've got new tyres on, new tubes, new bearings. I nicked a rear sprocket. I think it's a 36 sprocket off of, or 34 sprocket off of Terry. I also managed to nick some brake pads, brake shoes or whatever from Terry as well. Once it was all assembled, I went to fit it to the rear of the bike, and I had a bit of difficulty getting it on, but more on that later. As the front wheel's off, time to install the cables, as you can only do them with the front wheel off. But yeah, I had a brand new throttle cable going into the old speedometer, and yeah, I wired that in and hooked a drill to the end to see if that worked, and yeah, it did seem to move the needle.
Okay, so that works, that's cool.
So yeah, unfortunately the rear wheel seems to be rubbing the frame. I'm not sure if it was a swinging arm at the time, but yeah, on closer inspection a bit later on, I realised no, the frame is slightly off.
Right, see, it's rubbing. You can hear it rubbing. So when I chock the tyre back, which is really bad because if I had to adjust the chain on the go, I need to pull the wheel back, I can't. So it's rubbing. So I'm going to try and bend this out a bit. It's a shame, but this is all body filler anyway, so I think I'm just going to chop it. It was all body filler. It was pretty much all body filler anyway, so I'm just going to chop that there, which hopefully should be enough. Remember, you can chop, but you can't put back. So just chop that line there. And it's a bit wonky as well, so it's not going to look right no matter what I do. So yeah, I'll chop it and then put a bit of rubber trim around it or something. Because then I can get the wheel in and out easier. Okay, it fits now, so that's good. It's a bit close, but the wheel is jumped back all the way, so I'm going to push the wheel all the way forward later. Next step, I'm going to start running wires through the bike, I think. Just going through all my spares now. And I've actually found a spare key barrel. So I've got a key barrel, and I've already pre-spaded this one. So that means I could do that one. So, fed the wires through. I'll have to reconfigure this later. This will be when I'm testing out to see what connections are what. Got the wires fed through now. Doing this for the past hour. I'm stuck, I can't get spark. It's really annoying. Let's take out the side panel, see what's going on in there. Didn't know what's wrong. Found something very annoying. So I bought this engine second hand, okay, so possibly my fault. Anyway, kicking over, trying to work out why no spark, why no spark. This is probably the issue. Yes, I just took that off by hand. This is the wrong stator. The wrong flywheel for the wrong bike. Whoa. I just realised this is probably a genuine Honda Cub one. Maybe. It says Japan on it. Anyway, this is not compatible with this stator. It doesn't get close enough. It's too thick. So, I'm going to put it to one side. I'll just leave it there for now, actually. Put the covers back on, and we'll do something else. But yes, I've spent about an hour and a half working out what's wrong here, and trying to work out. I was like, no, I should be getting spark. I should be getting spark. Everything's correct. Like, everything is correct. There was a couple of dodgy connections, but yeah, that is incredibly annoying. That is going to slow things down for a bit. So yeah, next week, hopefully I'll be able to continue the electrics.
Well, I couldn't really continue with the electrics, so I carried on doing my 3D printing projects, printing off the side panel battery cover. I was using yellow because I just happened to have yellow in the machine at the time, and I also designed, I wanted like a nice way to turn it as well, so I thought I'd print some side panels off in a nice bright yellow, and you can see there we are. That's the first rendition of one, the first test print, and I later did a better design later on. Then here is the final design right there on the key barrel, and yes, a delivery came, so I could finally put on my new flywheel, which is a whopping £15. So after putting making sure I had ignition and I had spark, then it was time to try and do the 12 volt electrics. So I'm using a 6 volt frame, but I'm using 12 volt electrics. So I want to use the 12 volt switches, as you have the buttons in the correct places and the wiring colours are about right as well, and which means I get to use a twist throttle and not a slide throttle. However, the handlebars on an old 6 volt are 20, and the on the 12 volts they're 22s. So I had to have a really good think on how I was going to get these parts to like fit on there but still give me the option to twist throttle and for it to all work with the electrics and everything. So the method I thought was to do some sort of collar, 3D print a collar for it. So I designed a simple cylinder to go over it to increase the size and the width of the handlebar and put it to 22s. Now it took a few goes and a few tries to get it to fit the correct size, but literally I had it done in 3 test prints.
It's probably a lot better. It's a lot better than it is for now. I think that'll be fine. Oh, this is dreadful. This is dreadful. So I've put this one on that Terry gave me, and my float bowl hits the top cap, even with the actuator on it fits the cap. I've placed it this way with.
So this took about 3 manifolds, and I finally got it to the correct angle where I could get this carburetor on without it interfering with the frame and where the throttle cable could reach. What a palaver, but it's done. The carburetor is fitted.
Just doing some wiring today. Got a battery hooked up. It's alive. Well, hey. Trying ages for this to work. This is a bit faulty, so one of the switches work one way, so it's probably dirty in there. It needs to clean out, but I've got a spare switch, so I'm going to drop this out, replace it. Damn, that's annoying. I've got to take all this off now. My hard work. 3D printer. I printed off a couple of these. These are going to be my indicator covers for the front of the bike. So you're supposed to have these dome ones. The dome ones are really, really expensive, if you can find them. And because my mounting brackets are kind of broken anyway, I thought, you know what, I modelled these off, I printed these off. Let's give them a go, fit them to the bike. and we'll carry on with the electrics today. Maybe get the find some spare rear indicators as well and get them hooked up if I've got some. Yeah, good progress today. I've wired up the indicators. I have to hold them to the frame at the moment, so I need to make a bracket. But I'll do that after I put a rack on it, I think. But at least the wires are here, so that's the left, that's the right, and then it earths the frame, so that's good. And I've wired in the tail light, and I've tested the rear brake and the front brake. There we are, nice and bright, lovely. So we've got brakes, we've got indicators. Oh yeah, and I've stuck these on as well, just temporarily. But yeah, they fit just, and I'll tidy up that tape. It's just a tape job for now, but it's orange. Just need to write it down on my board to make note of what colours go where. It almost matches, orange to black. That's a brake. Yeah, so we're getting there. We're getting there. So all the electrics are now wired in, essentially. Found this rack in my spares. I'm going to clean it up and give it a paint. Not sure which colour yet. Maybe just clean it up to begin with, hammerite it, and then paint it after. So today's headache, right, so got that painted and that's drying. That's just brush painted hammerite for now. Anyway, onto this. I've had to swap the foot pegs over. Went to put the exhaust on, doesn't fit, it's too short. Got me some cardboard, I'm gonna get a marker pen. I might have to make a sheet of metal to so that the exhaust can bracket on, because at the moment it doesn't line up at all. Ugh, right, let's do it. Right, so annoyingly, so the exhaust fits up in here, as it's meant to do. Right, that's fine, that will screw on nicely. But then down here, see, I put it on the holder, and it's like that short, so I want to keep it in the correct angle, or we just want to have it shunted forward a bit. Is it? Nothing ever lines up with this bike. Right, okay, cool. Right, so I've taken our bracket, chopped the end off, so now this will fit here. Right, doesn't get rid of this. And then we just need to chop this bit off here and we can create a bracket. There we are, little bracket, so that goes there like that. There we go. It's a bit low tech, but a couple of nuts and bolts on that. Okay, so let's see if this custom made bracket well, let's see if it shunts it forward enough. Moment of truth. Ah, oh, so close. Okay, so that's for a later time, but at least you've got the exhaust on. Okay, I've trimmed down the leg shield today. We've got it fitting pretty much right. I'm just going to get my Dremel out and just tidy up my hacks. And then I've also got the stuff on paint. So I've done some nice gold. Yeah, this metal's a bit rough, but it shows up all the imperfections. I should have probably sanded it down a bit more, but whatever. Yeah. Then I've also got the petrol tank for Henry, the Honda Cub, because he needed a new official tank, and that's looking pretty good. Oh yeah, looking good. Looking rather good. I'm going to have to make some spaces and stuff for the bolts. Okay, that's the power of the 3D printing, I think. Okay, camera's back. Don't know why it's doing the phantom presses. Right, okay. That's all done. It's looking good. It's almost done. Right, so I've been down the shops, went to the nut and bolt shop down in Brighton, and we actually found the correct nuts for these, because this was such a pain to find. So we found them, so that's good. So we've got them. Next step is to yeah, so we've got them. I'll just put them on loosely for now. Yeah, got to make some spaces with this leg shield, and I've got the final coat of the paint gone on now, and look how shiny that looks. Oh, looking good. Right, so it's very cold now, and that looks good as well. That looks so bad. It's great. I've got a rack on now. That was not easy to do. I've had to bend it and chop it and stuff, but I don't know what bike it's for. I think it's for a different type of 6-volt, but either way it fits. It came off my C200 and I thought it'd have the same mounting point, and it almost does. But of course, because of these weird top shocks, the eyelets are huge. It's on there, it's not quite straight. I think it's just because the rack's bent anyway. It's an ancient rack. I think I can put the exhaust on now though. Exhaust on. Like ages to get this exhaust on. Probably like an hour. The amount of times I had to fettle it and just reposition it and stuff, but I finally got the position. And also, the kickstart clears the exhaust. So that is bonus. Whew.
So another problem that I ran into was the centre stand now comes up and doesn't stop because the rubber part is meant to bolt about there where I'm pointing now, but because the exhaust now sits further forward, I have to make a little bracket to extend it to stop the exhaust from just swinging up all the way into the chain.
Okay, last step today, I think we'll just do the indicators. So we need to make a bracket to attach to here to bring them out a little bit. The wire can run in there and run down to the indicators. Right, let's give this a go.
So I dug through my spares and found some Honda CT indicators, some spare ones that I had, and yeah, I've wired them to the back of the bike, mounted them up, and they didn't work straight away. For some reason I was getting a bad earth, so I had to run an extra wire running just from the indicator to the frame, so literally just the length of the indicator to where the frame is, and then yeah, then it all worked. Really, really bizarre.
Right then, so we've done it. We've got right indicator, left indicator. Flasher relay probably won't work unless the thing's set in. Brake, rear brake. Good. Good. Now this is the pièce resistance. The icing on the cake. Oh yeah. Look at that beauty. Absolutely disgusting. Let's put it on. Down or up? I put the wiring in, so I'm going to go with the capacitor build because after doing all the wiring it's going to be too tight to get a battery in there, or if we put a small battery in there. Right, let's see.
So with only a few more little things to do before I take it out on the road test, one of them being I need a number plate. Now because it's a 1960s bike, and they use different font in 1960s, I couldn't find anywhere to order it, so I thought, you know what, I'll have a go and paint one myself. And you know what, it came out all right.
That's what makes it a Honda. See, it's got to have the H. That's what makes it a Honda.
So the last few years I've been collecting stickers and haven't been actually using them anywhere, and I thought, you know what, now's the time to slap some stickers on this bike. So it took me about 6 months to slowly build this bike together, and yeah, it's done now. So I guess come back and another video where you'll see its first ride. Please again, don't forget to like, comment, whatever, and I'll catch you in the next part. Thank you very much for watching.